Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. We hope you're doing well. Our Philippine journey, Mike and Arlen, and today we're going to go over the Philippine land scam. And I'm going to tell you right now up front, we are not attorneys, we are not licensed attorneys, we're not pretend attorneys, and we certainly can't practice law or give legal advice here in the Philippines. And that's not what we're going to do. We are going to tell you how it works, and we're going to tell you one of the ways it works because there are multiple ways. That being said, what we're also going to tell you is the story of how somebody, which unfortunately, after a 2 year ordeal, is still being and paying attorneys to fix this issue if there is any resolution in the end. So stick around. You're going to find this interesting because it's so different than what you are used to in the UK, Australia, America. I can't speak to any other areas. Okay? 2 years ago, a gentleman and his wife decide that they are going to purchase some land. The land is being sold by a agent, and the agent has an office and looks extremely legit. The primary of the agent doesn't live in the Philippines. She actually lives in Switzerland. So, with that being said, there's some correspondence and all of the things that happen. And they go through their due diligence. They do all of the things they need to do. They have a contract to purchase. They have to put down a deposit. And then things start to fall apart. What happens in this particular instance is something that you need to keep in mind. Number one, not all agents are actually licensed real estate agents. Number two, not all attorneys, just like not all doctors, are experts in all things. Finally, what appears on paper and what is on official paper are two different things. So let's delve into this just a little bit deeper. We're going to call this young man, actually he's not young, he's in his 50s, and his wife decide they're going to buy this land, and they're buying part of a parcel, or they're buying a parcel from a group of parcels in a 25 hectare or so, maybe bigger development. They do all the paperwork, they get everything done. He's doing everything correct. The agent is representing everything. And he runs into a glitch at the end. And that glitch is there is no access road yet to his land. And that's okay. It's, in the master plot and everything. But he asks a question. Hey, I really don't want to pay off the land and finish this transaction, even though he'd put down a 50% deposit. I don't want to pay off this land. I don't have an access road. So it begins to sort through this on a local level to find out that, well, there is no access road. And the developer is not including an access road. And in his purchase to contract, his contract to purchase, he has no even reference of an access road. And as he delves even deeper, he finds out that the access road is actually the responsibility of the barangay, the local government unit. And the barangay captain says, "Hey, I'm not going to spend our local money to build a road for 4 people." So he starts to get even more and more inclusive. And as he does this, starts to find out other things. First off, the land that he purchased is not the land that they were shown. That's a problem. That's a big problem. Then he finds out later that the actual land that they're going to purchase, the husband, it's owned by a Filipino couple. The husband is no longer around, and the wife no longer wants to sell it. Then he finds out that the agent has already taken deposits on that land twice from 2 other people. And then the list just goes down the line, down the line, down the line. Multiple problems. Finds out that he becomes upset. Obviously, I would be. So would you. Hires another attorney. Finds out his first attorney has just done a piss poor job, in his opinion. And now they're going through all of the types of remedies. I could get into a lot more detail here because this gentleman provided tons of backup. I'm going to keep him anonymous. I'm going to keep the attorneys' names out of it completely. I'm going to keep the agents' names out of it completely, because it's not really as relevant as the message of this video. What we run into here, and what you could run into, comes in multiple forms, but it can be, number one, it's a relative. They have this land and they're going to sell you, it's usually a father or mother, father, or whatever. And they're going to sell you part of that land. So everything's great. They love you. Everything's good. But then you find out they don't actually have a title to their land. It is what we call generational land. They've and their families have resided on it. There's probably on the back of a napkin somewhere 40 years ago where the so-and-so purchases such and such, and people signed, and nobody knows what it is, and obviously it's not notarized or anything. And that is not uncommon when you get into the provinces. Second thing is that it could be that there are multiple claims to ownership. A mom and dad had this land, and even it's titled. Dad passes away, and mom decides she's going to sell it, and then in turn, every one of the siblings say, "Hey," or even one of the siblings say, "Hey, that's part of my inheritance. My father promised it to me. You can't sell that. You have to buy it from me." Or, "I don't want to sell it." In this particular instance, the wife said that even though the husband wanted to sell it, she no longer wants to sell it. And that may be for various reasons. Most often it's because she's had a better offer. But that's beside the point. Doesn't matter. What happens is that the actual path to ownership is very, very murky. And you as a foreigner cannot control that. Now, you know, as a foreigner, you can't own land except through inheritance from the death of your spouse. So, and you can't pass that on to a foreigner. In other words, if Arlene passed away, my wife passed away, I would inherit her portion of our land and home in Mindanao. And the law allows for that. However, I can't leave that as rental property or put it in my daughter's name in the future. It's going to have to be liquidated or taken care of in a different manner. So, this gentleman now has two lawyers involved. He now has the option for lawsuits, and it's going to cost him an incredible amount of money on top of what he's already paid. But the most glaring part of this is it's not even the land that they thought they were buying. So when you buy land, you know, you will go to wherever the seat of the government is in the area. For instance, where we live in Kitcherow. The titles to the land are not in Kitcherow. We had to go to Butuan, which is the seat of the area. You probably call it like the capital of a state in the United States. But that's where we had to go. And we had to actually pull the title to the land. And then we had to see not only whose name it was in, but we had to see where the markers for the actual ownership of the land is. Okay, the actual property lines are. Then we had to hire a survey crew to actually confirm that the land we're looking at is the land on that title. And you're going to have to do that too. And you should do it. I don't care how long the family has lived on that land. I don't care how well you know the uncle that's selling you the land. I don't care if the agent that is selling you the land says that this is it, because that's not what they do. You see, there is no MLS, there is no multiple listing service in the Philippines. You've got to hire somebody or do it yourself. And my suggestion is you hire somebody, and you hire somebody that you can then backtrack. In this particular instance, he's going to go through two, and he might even go through a third attorney at another point, because he may have to get an attorney that actually specializes in something. The land scam here is deep and hard, and it happens all the time. And that may be one of the reasons why in the province you don't see big fancy houses everywhere. You see them in some places, but not everywhere. And you don't see them everywhere because, well, I don't want to spend a lot of money on land that, little Johnny claims, hey, that was my mom's land, and when she passed away, um, that land belongs to me. And by law, it does. That's the way it works in the Philippines. Inheritance goes down the bloodline. Um, and I'm not going to sell that land. So everything you've done to develop that land is mine. And by the way, get the hell out. Again, all these things being said, we come to the conclusion of this. And I just, again, I have tons of email, tons of backup, tons of, of links, and photos, and everything else this gentleman provided. And this is a legit story. You need to do it the right way. Hire professionals. You need to hire really good professionals. If I was going to be buying land in the middle of nowhere, okay, which actually that's not really, I mean, this wasn't in the middle of nowhere, but it was in the province. But if I was going to be buying land in the province, okay, something flew by. If I was going to be buying land in the province and I couldn't easily do everything that has to take care of, I'd have to hire an attorney to look everything over. We'd have to have our paperwork reviewed, which we did. We'd have to physically get a copy. We'd have to go to the Register of Deeds, the ROD, in that area where the actual deeds to the land are. Okay. That's how we found out that the land we wanted to buy and we ended up buying actually had a lien on it. And so we couldn't even complete the transaction to start our construction until the lien had been paid off. Again, that's the way there are no title companies here. There's people that portray themselves as title companies, but it's not a licensed thing. Okay? Get yourself an attorney, get yourself a legitimate survey company, find out that that land is the land you're going to be buying. Some of these people that you'll be involved with have nothing to do with this scam. Your wife doesn't have anything to do with this scam, or your girlfriend if you're buying land for your girlfriend. They don't have anything to do with this scam. Some of them do. Some of them get you into the middle of it and say, oh my God, in order to clear this up, I've got to pay an extra 400,000 or 500,000. Can you send me? You just don't know. But in most instances, the immediate transactional personages in this transaction don't even know it. They're being scammed, but it's like Filipino being scammed by Filipino. Be super cautious. Don't get into that situation like our young friend here, younger than me, older than most of you, maybe. All right? Don't do that. Check it all out. Do it the right way. That's the most important part of getting things done. Do not hesitate to spend. I mean, legal help can be expensive here, but still cheaper than the U.S. Check it all out. Make sure it's real. Make sure you're getting what you're paying for. And you won't waste 2 years of your life. Hey, thanks. If you found this relatively informative, great. I'm sorry it wasn't entertaining, but that's just the way it was. This is not a happy ending type of thing. Please subscribe, hit that thumbs up. We'd certainly appreciate it. And we hope you have a great, great